You know, right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest themes in entertainment, entrepreneurship, sports, media, and so much more. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, I'm glad our guest finally took a little break from the Peloton to join us today. I know you've been going back and forth with him for a while now since you guys met over the summer, and we are really excited to have him here with us today.
Absolutely. I met him back in April or May, I believe, right? And he is he calls himself an old fart. We disagree. We think he still has it. One of the most well-known, one of the best competition show players of all time, right? And we grew up on the real world. We grew up on the real rules, right? So this podcast is known for sports, entertainment, media, pop culture, and reality TV. We're becoming the go-to reality TV podcast. Real quick, Nick. But we were also going to talk about his career, his life as a father now. And we welcome, and I hope that introduction did a little bit justice. We want to save a little
Too
for the
much, so
podcast.
Jet.
We
Too
welcome
much.
Adam Larson to the show. Adam, also one of the greatest challenge contestants of all time. Welcome, man. Thank you for joining us. It took a couple of months to get you. We hope you and your family are right with the hurricanes that happened back a couple of months ago. But how are you doing, man?
No, we're doing better than we deserve, to steal something from Dave Ramsey there. But, holidays, had a wonderful Christmas. We're all happy together. We're safe. Nothing happened to us during, we lost a little bit of power, but West North Carolina, if we could all just send some love that way, maybe take a cool trip to Asheville, take a trip to Boone, and I mean, those are bucket list type places anyways. I kind of tell people we're down in Greenville, South Carolina. Feel like it's like that Austin of the East Coast down here. So like, don't sleep us if you come to the Kakalakis.
Well,
Look us
listen, Joe,
up.
Joe is just in Austin. He loves it. Maybe he's got to come to South Carolina next.
Yeah, hey, why don't we develop a show called South by Southeast or something like
Oh,
that?
that'd be great.
Maybe
That'd be
that could
great.
it could catch on. You never know.
Can you tell
I have
this
my
guy
uncle.
was a VP
Hey.
of business development in the past with his
Oh, of
great
course. He
ideas?
he speaks like like he was in VP development. But my
A,
uncle,
a true entrepreneur, guys. I'm trying to reverse engineer our lifestyles, and so hopefully you can all join us on our wellness resort, and we can all
yeah,
like titrate our designer beverages and live the best life. Like I feel like that's what the challenge house should be. And
he's speaking my
right,
He's
language
speaking your language, Joe.
dude,
immediately,
it's like,
instantaneously. Well, my uncle, he's in for the holidays. He moved to North Carolina about 2 years ago. He lives in Raleigh, so that's
oh,
about a
we were
seven
just
hour
there. We
drive
got
from New
there's a
York.
cool sorry to interrupt. There was a cool
No,
challenge mania there.
yes, it's a nice little place, and what's nice about it is it's the colleges, like North Carolina, Duke, like Tobacco Road's not too far from there. So there are three main places, I guess, in North Carolina: Raleigh, Charlotte, and then like Asheville, where all like the stuff happened over there. But we'd love to come down to the Carolinas, especially me. I want to come back
South
there. I
by
loved it there.
Southeast. Let's do it.
South by Southeast, I would love it.
We could combine all the good ideas. Aves and I just did this amazing charity event down in Orlando, and Omar, who does like the Over the Edge for the Celebrity Weekend, was saying,
Yeah.
"Why don't you guys put something together?" And so maybe we'll do like an Over the Edge event. We'll do a podcast
Let's
event.
do it.
We'll,
We'll come down. We'll do this big podcast on the stage.
we'll do like a bunch of business mentorships. We'll give all of our bad
Yeah.
opinions and other people's good ideas, and
You
like maybe have a drink or two.
Get Peloton involved. You do a biking class.
Matt
Yes.
Wilfords comes down here all the time for like the Grand Fondo, which George Hincapie, like this used to be a training ground for the U.S. Postal Team back in the day.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah, I am full of useless information, Nick. I hope you know this.
Well, here's the thing. You're
It's
a
a kid.
tech guy, but you're also an old fart, self-proclaimed. So I'm curious, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first app you're checking on your phone?
Um, the like crypto bubbles, like like
Interesting.
any like investment stock market or crypto
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I use like the macro news events to kind of like give me a good space of like where's the market going. I'm not trying to do like a lot of day trading. I'm just like, hey, we were driving to school. I'm like, kids, what's the price of gas? They're like,
Yeah.
269. I'm like, where was it last week? And just trying to understand like sometimes like certain prices give you indications on how the blood or the oil of the world is moving. And I just want to keep my family and my friends ahead of bad times, if that makes sense. My dad was like, I thought he was such a worrywart, and I'm like, man, he really wasn't that. He had some good ideas. He was a good lighthouse. He at least like showed the
Yeah,
problems where they were and offered some good solutions. So I'm a big fan of people just like trying to fix shit.
I like that. So you, Adam, you love the water. You're born in Rhode Island. Now you live in South Carolina. You lived in California. You're in Puerto Rico. How'd you end up bouncing around the U.S.? And is being close to water a necessity for you? What's some of the favorite places you've seen over the
Yeah.
years?
I was born in Detroit, Michigan, grew up on the Great Lakes swim team, so water even more prevalent, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
And 10 years old, moved to New Hampshire, got like kept on getting into the lifeguarding, eventually ocean lifeguarding when we moved down to Rhode Island on Narragansett Beach, and just loved the water, loved Mother Nature, loved never being overpowered and out of my element by something and having to figure it out how to like go with the flow. Like side story, will you bring me back?
Yep.
I tell people that like the meaning of life is how to find your energetic rivers and flows in the world or universe and how not to like go against them, right?
I
Like
like
sometimes you
that.
need to stay on the side and like get off on an exit, or maybe you need to get in the middle so you're going fast. But like I believe in these like rivers and energies of life. Like no, I don't have as good of words as some of like the great spiritual people of it on the show. Like I just got to meet Nehemiah for the first time. What an incredible human being. Like
Have you
sometimes
have you have
it's like,
you have you met Emily? We had Emily on.
no.
Her and Joe are talking me in circles with their spiritual talk. But
Okay,
Nehemiah
so
is very
Avery came
Well,
spiritual.
back and was
speaking,
like that about Emily. She's like, you have got to meet the, and I heard she's like doing like this wellness resort I speak of.
Yeah.
That would be like that would be like the dream, right? I am completely fine just owning like a little RV glamp ground. It doesn't take a
Taking
ton.
it back to the road rules days, back in the
yeah,
RV.
You do know that this is the 30th. Well, Mark just reminded me that this is our 30th anniversary of Road Rules, and I feel like we got to
Wow.
do something special.
I think so. I think you got to
absolutely. You need an anniversary.
take a little tour on the caravan.
A
I
little
know. I
trip
feel
down
like
memory lane.
if I had a better laptop, I would take you guys on a tour of the RV. Next time we do a podcast, part two is
Next
going to be
time.
on the RV.
Right. Yeah. There'll definitely be a part two after maybe
Uh,
Adam, wins some seasons here moving forward. We'll see. Lip sealed. We'll see what
What
happens.
what was the question that I completely took off?
Just like
If you go
moving
up
around
as
the
a
U.S.
fish,
Moving
I'm
around
a
the
favorite
big.
people.
U.S.
I'm only like 5'11". Like I'm like really kind of stocky, and I think I drank a lot of milk, so I don't know if I'm like over calcific. Anyways, I think I've got the heavy bone thing. And
Okay.
so, like, if you guys remember all the way back on like the very first gauntlet, which I'm not even sure if that stuff's available, we had to swim and tread water with snakes in like really cold water. And as soon as I put my hands up, I sank. Abram came, like, dove in and saved me at
Oh
the
my
very end.
gosh. That did you?
Like,
Yeah. I mean, you just saw on season 40 that elimination between Tori and Cara having to swim like that was difficult. That was
nope, can't
crazy.
do it. I do all my swimming. I've done like Ironman triathlons. Like you said, like I
Yeah.
can, I can swim, but I'm like a barge.
Right.
And
So
once
Joe,
this
you
barge
didn't see this, Joe. The elimination was that in the pitch black, they had to go in the ocean and they had to swim and just tread water with their hands out of water, and that was it until
Uh,
whoever sank first. I mean, that's scary stuff.
that is
I talk
scary
about how
stuff, especially in
unfair it
pitch
is. The
black.
body displacement of fat allows like women to be so much better at this. If it had been guy girl, that wouldn't have been fair. I can't believe they made them put their hands out of water. Like that made it probably like actually winnable. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they probably could have
Otherwise,
treaded
they would have kept going. They could have just
ever.
floated all night.
Yeah. Can you imagine a 23-hour like, oh my gosh, that would have been a nuts elimination.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Uh, so
I
let's
like how
move.
they're kind of making it in. I feel like the people who are on the challenge now, we used to have a lot of not in participation. Two things have changed that. People take themselves a little bit more seriously and appreciate being on the show, and it's not just a paycheck and a way for them to pay their rent back in LA while working at Saddle Ranch, myself included. And also, like if you do well on this show, you almost feel like a gladiator. So I'm
Sure.
glad that I'm glad that the main show is hard, if that makes sense. And that's the ego that makes me would be like I would try to like somehow get away from like I don't know how I would leave my family for 11 weeks when at worst, if you were to make it to the end of like one of these all-stars, it's only 5. Like that's why I think us old farts are coming back is because like we miss the family. It's a different sort of family. It's probably as dysfunctional as our normal family. They picked us for a reason, right? But then like now we're coming back and it's not the sacrifice. I wonder if that ruins the show, though. For you guys, what do you think? Do you think like I liked when they did Viewers Revenge, and I think that like there aren't the spoilers that there are out there now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if like it going live sooner could help. I wonder what the I mean, it keeps on evolving, and the show's doing great. I love watching like
The only thing I want is I want to at least get me back to one season of true teams. Like you guys were, it was always team oriented. There was a lot more to it then. I hate when it's a solo winner.
I don't think I could win by myself ever as a champion. I am
Right.
like I literally said that before to myself on something. I was like, I really only win well as part of a team.
Yeah.
I'm right.
I
That's
think
what the
that's
show is
and I
built
think
on
that
teams.
and that
See, and even when
format,
they have teams now, then after
yeah.
like 3 weeks, they're like, all right, no more teams. You're solo now.
Why?
Right. That's what I don't know. I guess because
Okay.
people maybe your fellow competitors they don't want to come then to share $500,000 amongst 5 people. They're only gonna go if they're getting the solo money. I don't know.
It
You would know more
totally
than
depends
us.
on your cast. So you said something. So tell me if you've ever heard this. There's two types of us, and I feel like there's the people who are there for the experience, and then there's the people who are there for the game. I feel like if you truly appreciate the experience and you're a good game player, you can like weave back and forth. For a lot of us though, like I think I hope I'm starting to learn the game, listen and like see how like
Yeah,
Veronica works and like and it's interesting, but I don't buy into it 100% because I see that like I see it to be much easier if you're trying to like find out about people as if they were real roommates and not scheme and try to align.
sure.
And you could do both. Like if you actually care about somebody and then you ask meaningful questions, you can align with them very easily. And then you
Yeah,
know whether you should trust them or not. Like, okay, here's why I say this, and like I'm sure I'm gonna get a little bit of hate or like this might be controversial, but it's the whole like what an OG is. And I feel
hmm
like an OG is somebody who you know intimately. Now,
That's
most
why I don't-
likely,
that's why I get mad with the All Stars. We're having people who just started on the show 5 years ago and
Right.
now they're an All Star OG. I don't understand it, Adam.
All stars have to be
Just call it the challenge. If
Well,
I
I was
that's what
going
it
to
don't
is.
think
say multiple time appearances, and you have to have a significant 10 to 20-year track record of being on the programming and
Right. The
having
first two
people
seasons of
follow
All
you. Right.
Stars were OGs. So now I think you talk to Mark Long, your buddy, 30-year anniversary. You got to do an OG Road Rules and
Right.
could
do a Road Rules for one
could you
season
imagine
with
if
the
they put
OGs.
fresh faces on like on road rules instead of giving people like the OG road rulers?
Oh, jeez.
That would be
I don't think these challengers could survive on Road Rules though.
I sometimes I wonder what the challengers, what the fans want, because like the some of the people who are most vocal, I'm not sure if we're supposed to listen to them or whether
hmm
like, do you pay
You know what
attention?
I want? I want people. I want a season of just people from MTV. I don't know. I don't want this one from The Bachelor. This one, oh, she's a fitness model in Great Britain. She's a
Well,
DJ over
also,
in Romania. I
well,
just
also,
want
what I
people
think the
from the MTV sphere. That's what
the
I
Now,
want.
issue is the
do you
issue
want to
is when
see
you
us
bring
on
people.
challenges or do you want to see us live? See, I think All Stars is hilarious, and I like the humor behind it. I like all the
Sure,
throwbacks, and I think they
that's
even
what I
rolled
like.
it into the main show this time with like all the
Yeah, the
screens.
split screens. But listen, I don't like that they have gone in the past few years so international and getting people that I never heard of as a background story. I liked it where, okay, the typical graduation, they were on Road Rules, they were on the challenge. Now they're on the challenge. They were on the Real World. They're going to be on the challenge. I was familiar with them. I could accept the Are You the One people because I saw them already on MTV. Big Brother, okay, but it's the Paramount umbrella. But to be getting, oh, this guy, he's from Romania. Let's get him. He's a, he was on X Factor or whatever. It's just like I don't like. I can't be invested in these people because I don't know their backstory.
It's just like a book with too many characters.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that.
All right,
And
thank you. Thank you for giving this old part a little bit of
Adam, you should do it. You
pity.
should do a TED Talk.
I would a TED Talk. You know what? You know what would come out of this? I bet you that we would start a house with all of like the old personalities and instead do like a business Y Combinator. Like, what are these people doing now? Who needs help like growing this and that? It's like
Yeah.
I bet how the Jersey Shore people probably had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
See,
I worked with somebody who worked on the production side of the show when it aired, and he became good friends with them. And now since everybody's kind of gone their separate ways and they're still filming the show, yes.
Yeah.
But
I
but he had
actually
a good
heard a
relationship with
rumor
them.
a few years ago, Adam, that they were trying to get Angelina and Vinny on the challenge, but I guess they couldn't figure out the financials. But I think that would be hilarious. But you know what? They'd be targeted right away in the
Yeah.
first week. They're going in elimination, most likely.
Paulie, yes. Vinny, no.
Okay.
They would probably keep
I would
Vinny
work
around
with-
for a couple of weeks because he's a
I
good
would
social
work
media
with
player.
Vinny.
Yeah.
Do you know we can thank Queen V for keeping Snooki on the show? Like Veronica was like on the production team of that.
Really?
Yeah, if you guys
I
ever
didn't know that.
talk to her, you got to
Well,
talk
I
to
think
her.
we're gonna have to get Veronica on next. Thanks
She's
to you,
gonna get
Adam.
like I'm probably gonna murder the story, but basically, if it wasn't for her like sitting down with Snooki and being like, trust them, like trust like work with production on like
Yeah.
some things,
Okay.
like
So the short girls trust each other. That's what worked out.
oh, I never thought about it that
Yeah.
way. But
Yeah.
yes,
The short
I-
girls congregate to each other.
they do trust. It's like Chihuahuas.
That's so good.
Daisy's around here somewhere.
I was gonna say let's deviate because we do want to talk about your background, and then we'll get back to a lot of the road rule stuff in a little bit, right? So
Sure.
your background, where'd you go to college? What'd you major in?
Yeah,
And
I'm
we
a
worked a
Boston.
lot. Yep, we worked a lot of jobs. So I want to see what your ideal career path looked like before you worked all the jobs that you did.
Okay. I was I grew up in Michigan for 10 years, right outside Detroit, Grosse Pointe Park. And I would say that I was a very hyperactive kid back then, but without any like medication diagnosis. When we moved to New Hampshire, we moved to a place Exeter, New Hampshire, which is kind of like the southeast corner near the beach. And it just happened that like one of the doctors there was on the board for the national organization. And so my mom learned about like what ADHD is and how to medicate, but how to do a bunch of other stuff. And that was really helpful because I went from like being just like socially a nightmare to enjoying team sports and like not being ostracized in school. Still like was a fucking nightmare. And I think I hold the record for inside suspensions, but like, and I'm not like a great kid now, and I'm blown away with how beautiful my daughters are. But like, I think we've had to start adjusting our learning for the type of educational environment we're in, which is why we shouldn't overwhelm kids. But I went from there to hotel management school at Boston University, hospitality administration. My parents had relocated to Rhode Island and bought a liquor store that was in my dad's hometown, turned it into a fine wine destination. Really kind of like that's where I would say I learned to be a storyteller. Like I really enjoyed hearing about how something was made, where it was from, and the story and the people behind it. And so like whatever I was selling, whether it was myself trying to be an actor or 360-degree video or AR, VR, goggles and whatnot. Finally, I just landed in IT consultancy, so cybersecurity. I'm like always trying to tell the story behind and the why. And now I feel like the first 20 years we spend learning, the next 20 we spend like, working. And this last 20, hopefully a little bit more. I really want to reverse engineer uh, how Avery and I approach retirement and like maybe set up a wellness community, a wellness resort, really help other people um, like still live productive lives, which I think means working into our 60s and 70s, but also doing stuff we love. Like, I don't know. There I go. That's me in a nutshell.
Well, I mean, there's a lot. Background sales and IT. You're also sales manager, business development at KODAK PIXPRO. So you come from the tech and the IT side of things now, right? So, what are you doing right now, primarily for work? And our question to you is, we touched on this a little bit, I think, right at the top before we started, but AI, where it's going, how it's being integrated. What is your stance on the future of integrating AI and how these companies and these corporations are currently going about doing it?
Yeah, I think that AI is a non-sponsored or advertised upon personal assistant. So the first thing you should be doing is kind of like, what is it called? Stream of consciousing your thoughts, right? Like journaling now becomes so much more important. An agenda of how well this conversation could go, maybe analyzing our last conversation script before we had this conversation, it would be like, oh my gosh, last time you guys said you were going to refocus on this. It just allows you to be like that tiny percent more dialed in, probably much like Adderall or Ritalin were for kids who couldn't be focused before, right? So it makes us the best versions of ourselves. However, like, how much nicer is it when we work intentionally during like a multi-day burst, a season? Like, how do we figure out the mental health impacts upon this? Because with AI, are we plugged in now 24/7 where it's like reading and neural mapping us? Like, I don't know. But what I can say is like grabbing like a 360-degree video and putting this like while we're opening up presents every single year. Well, when I'm in my 60s and I'm having problems with dementia, possible Alzheimer's, I throw on a VR set and now like we're knocking the plaque off and like remyelinating or the synapses are firing and like we're re-triggering all of these memories. Like I'm just saying, like, how do we do it smart when we're plugged in? And then how do we disconnect for like, how are we? I'm working right now on a designer beverage, non-alcoholic version, mood. Basically, it's based on mood. So if you would be taking an Ambien, we would like you to drink, we would like you to drink our mood flavor. If you're normally taking Adderall, well, I'd like you to take this. Like, if you're a pot smoker, like, we've got this for you as well. Like, but these are all natural and it's just how can we design the best lifestyle we're supposed to lead? Starts with good sleep, then hydration. You make your bed. It's like that 5 things you do every single day that like the military and they rebuild them all the way up. We're just we're just more intentional. And that AI could be like, hey, you haven't jumped on the Peloton for like 9 days. Usually you do it 3 times a week. What's going on? Like, oh, you're depressed? Funny, you haven't been exercising. Like, instead of this, like, oh, you're depressed, take this like Prozac, right? Like, fuck that shit. And Big
So thank
Pharma's
you.
already won. They've already got all of our money. We're all
Yeah, I
insured with
know. Oh,
them.
we know.
They own CVS, and now I don't know why they're putting their Walgreens and Rite Aids out of business. But like it's they're gonna win anyways. Maybe 10 to 20% of us who are listening to Nick and you, like maybe we out punt our like me getting to date apes. Maybe like some of us do better than we deserve.
So, like anything else in life, it's all about balance. I'm curious what you think about Chat GPT and how people are kind of going to these new AI tools. Again, like you said, it's about optimizing your life, right? It's not about letting it lead your life, right? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the direction we're going, especially when it's used for like academic purposes, as an academic resource? Because now it's kind of like people are kind of using it as a substitute, right? And it wasn't initially supposed to be that. What are your thoughts about that too?
So I think what's going to happen is with like for academics, let's touch on three different things. Get me to come back to academics because I'm going to hit that one up last. I think that right now you have to understand who you're speaking to and who your assistant is. Right now, with the recent Gemini updates from Google, I was pretty impressed with what they're doing. I was plugging the same questions into Grok from your Twitter X, right? Plugging the same thing into ChatGPT, who's OpenAI and Microsoft. We have to remember the companies behind this as we're giving them this information. So, like, if you're going to Google search, what's the best Mexican place in Greenville, South Carolina? I'm like, why don't you also like use like, and I say chat GPT it, but like we're almost making AI like what we did with Kleenex, whatever. We don't want to give Microsoft Kleenex. Like I feel like we need to balance all of these and
Right.
but it's probably going to go to a pretty big person who then I'm going to support the ones that are open source. That way the little apps can plug into this. And that would be the nicest thing is you find out you're like, all right, for example, Tesla, if I'm not mistaken, we would be looking at the Optimus AI because I think Optimus is also what powers the robot. So this is where I'm wrong. I'm not sure what the Tesla AI would be called, but they've gathered how like 17 million times as much data as the typical automotive companies have on all of the driving patterns. Like
Right.
that's
That's why
not
they could drive the cars on their own.
right. That's not even a fucking car company.
No.
That's a new like neural map. Like that might be like whoever's not buying Tesla
Have
right
you been
now.
in a Tesla? I didn't really. I never been in a Tesla. That I had to go to the airport, and I going to the airport. I ordered an Uber. It was a Tesla. From the airport to the hotel was a Tesla, and then going back to there was a Tesla. I wasn't too impressed with the inside of the car.
With the because I think it's just and I think that's it. I think it's just going to be a scaled down version of a capsule.
Yeah, that's what it is. Now they got those like spaceship ones that are driving out on the road that look hideous. Oof. So,
Whatever's aerodynamic and work. This is what I want. Look at this.
Oh boy.
let's see what Adam's gonna pull out of his bag of tricks here.
He's got a
As
lot of
he's
things in that room.
got the Peloton behind him, of course, and
Oh, look at that. It's nice little,
that's the Tesla that I have
yeah.
now.
Right, little cyber truck with a family inside of a little
The
RV.
RV. Yeah, there it
That's
is.
that's cool. The Tesla with the RV attached behind it.
So Adam, I got to bring you back. You said education. Let me hit on the educate. Turn on the education
Yeah,
point.
so education, like they're gonna has there's gonna have to be a comprehension type of thing because you're not gonna know. You're not gonna
Right.
know whether they're like blending. It's not unless you're using AI to see if it was written by AI and somehow like
Right.
I have
You know,
no
it's funny
idea.
because when we were kids in school, the math teacher would say, "You're not going to have a calculator in your pocket all the time." And now we all do. So
Yeah.
it's they adjust. You have to adjust there. You adjust with everything.
Also, what if that's not what humans are best at? Like
Right.
focus
Yeah.
on us being creative.
I was always good at math, but I couldn't do those quick 100 question times tables, divisions. That's not my strong suit. I got to take my time. So
Yeah. Like give each person what they're good at and like maybe it like helps test people. It's so good. Such a good question. Everybody's going to be using it. I just don't see how not to
right.
how to police it.
Well,
Right.
here's the thing. It might take away from some originality. You, of course, very original, had no issues back in the day when you went casting. You got casted for road rules,
This
obviously.
makes
So
me think of such a good story.
what was the process like to get casted for road rules? And even like, what did you hear about the real world casting back then? Did you try for one or the other, or how did it work out for you?
Yeah, we tried for both, and I promise to talk about casting again. But this AI that's like with you all the time, or like being able to Google search and fact check somebody, that was my number one thing about Steve. I remember from being on the first show is like I was like, this guy is just like me. He always like has an answer for something. I need to fact check him, but I can't. So, and still to this day. there's no fact checking anybody in the house. Think about
No.
it. Like, there's no technology.
Nope.
There's nothing. You might get a giggle out of like one of the camera guys if somebody says something so absurd. But yeah, otherwise, now casting, it was interesting. Like, I had gone down to Puerto Rico on an internship for BU, and I was graduating early, but I was working at this great place, the San Juan Hotel, El Convento, and then a property on Vieques. That's the thing about internships is they just own you. So you're
Yeah.
working, you know, you're doing like housekeeping in the morning, in the kitchen during the afternoon, maybe doing front desk check-in like during the evening, back to the restaurant. So it was awesome. Internships, I got tucked under people's wings, taught how to fly, and this guy was opening up, Hugh Andrews was opening up a five-star resort on Vieques. And I just fell in love with like this membership travel idea of like seeing the same people time in and time out. And I really specialized in like private club or resort type of management. And then while I was down there, I ended up getting like I went with my girlfriend to a Hard Rock Cafe. Uh there was 15 of us sitting in a room filling out 45-page applications, getting asked questions, and had an opportunity to comment on people. And I think I was last to go, and I was just really surprised that like I felt like somebody needed a dad to tell them what was up and why they all had individual problems and how I could like how I was just the smartest guy in the room
Yeah.
and could just solve them for them real easy. And I think I was like overly opinionated or something along those lines. And then I walked out of the room and did like a microphone drop type thing and then wouldn't answer any of their phone calls and like they finally hunted me down at the hotel I worked at and were just like, listen,
Oh, you play hard to get.
yeah, and I was like, listen, I'm babysitting this kid. We're going on a mountain bike race this weekend. If you want to come with us and hang out, like you can do that, but I don't have time to make this video thing. I don't even know how. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
smart. And they like put this thing together for me and like helped me out. I got a camera. Some homeless guy knocked it out of my hand. I thought he fucking broke the whole thing. Don't go down in the barrio and fucking don't go to Old San Juan and go where you shouldn't go. Mind your P's and Q's, Americans. No, and then my life changed, right? Like then you go on the ultimate road trip and get dropped out of a helicopter 250 feet over like the Saharan or Atlas Desert. You're driving an RV, navigating like 3,000-year-old ancient like archways with like we the RV didn't work because they brought over an American, not European RV. So they got sponsored by like probably one of these companies. We ran out of propane after 3 days. We had to like microwave bottles of water and like it was just the best. It was the best, worst experience of your life. Like, and then I got to do it again on that live version of you. But like, here's the difference. And I tell people on the challenge, and I don't mean to be a dick, but like, because nothing will ever change. But we go and do something like a mission on Road Rules. They need everybody to come together. So like you get a few days of training, you really get like you get it. Like you get the best experience. You learn how to race cars, how to do Cirque du Soleil, how to bungee jump out of like it's they still make it challenging. Like you need to get somebody who's 60 years old to do it with you if you're bungee jumping. Like something crazy, right? Or like off the stratosphere for some people. With challenges, you need a way to like break people apart. Want people coming together. It's almost the opposite of Road Rules. So two different shows, two different experiences.
Yeah. So
Love them both.
they always say you never know when it's the good old days until, because you live them. And then it's like, so the good old days for you, the road rules and the challenge, you won the gauntlet, came back for gauntlet season two. Did you realize, or when did you realize that the 90s MTV era of reality television and the early real world days, the road world days would turn into an explosion of such a long-running, successful franchise that's carrying a network along with the Jersey Shore?
I think that when you start seeing the other shows in it, then I was like, okay. Because then it went from feeling like this, like
Right. tight-knit community to something bigger.
Yeah, and also like for those of us who really hold near and dear to our hearts, the road rules and real world experience where we live together for 10 to 20 weeks. And we're
Yeah,
just like so exposed during like that 18 to 24-year-old period where you have no idea what
right.
your compass bearing, what your true north is.
That's why they need to bring the real world back. I know the ratings were bad the last time they tried it on Facebook, but I think there's a place for it. Or at the very least,
I think it should be on PBS. I'll be honest.
yeah,
As
TBS.
crazy as
Okay.
reality TV shows gotten, maybe like
I
real world
still I still think
should
there's
be
a
on
place
PBS.
for all three. You know, like one people like somebody wants to just watch people in a house, other people want to watch people traveling and doing, challenge, and other people want to watch competition shows, right?
I
So
think,
there's a little niche
Adam,
in
I
everything,
think
right?
they need to do the real world all stars. You take people who they already know and you let them sit in a house for a few weeks and see what
The old
happens.
farts. Bring back all the old
The all
farts.
farts. Yeah.
No, guys, it's a great business idea. We can transition it into the nursing home that we know all of us are going to need. Like, do you remember those bar appearances and spring breaks we used to do?
Oh,
Our
yes.
livers and
Yeah.
kidneys are just waiting to fail. Trust me.
Adam, what's the most you ever got paid for one of those appearances?
Oh my gosh. I think $500, but like they all like all my managers stole all the money anyways. Like I
Sure.
never got
But
paid
they
for it.
fly you down, right? So you got free trips.
Oh yeah, like you get flown down on Southwest and then like you get put in this nasty bus with like throw up and
Ugh.
everything all over. It's just it's
Time of your life.
I mean, it's probably like the same shit that Lindsay Lohan and like the rest of like I mean Nicole and like Nicole Richie and Paris, they
Yeah.
probably get the same kind of treatment we did. You know what I mean? Because it was the
Sure.
same. Because us original like reality people just got treated so well. We like everybody respected us. It was a different day.
Different time. So
You could
you ended
we need to chat GBT fact check what I just said.
you were in
Love it.
hiatus. Okay. You were hibernating, 20-year hiatus from reality TV, essentially. How surprised were you to get the call that they wanted you for the Challenge All Stars 4? This is not a format you were familiar with, really. And what was it like returning to the universe as the older, middle-aged baby face as opposed to the handsome, devilish, confident, well-off heel from your early appearances on the show?
I love that buildup. I've been getting a call since like the early days, fortunately, and going through like I went through some people are like, why did you say as a different version that you almost didn't survive? And I was like, do we really have the time for this? So maybe you guys can like put an appendix or another part on this one. But I went through a really bad divorce. And so like my girl's mom left and she didn't get it her way, so it was no way. And to put it bluntly. And I thought that like I needed to do more. And like I just wouldn't leave. I was like, this is my responsibility. And I had my mom move down from Rhode Island, my brother and his wife, who and Julie, she's got family in California, but they relocated. It's like everybody, like the wagon circled and my family showed up. And I had a lot of other people in my life who showed up as well. I'm so fortunate. And it's like the best environment I could be raising the girls in. Their grandparents still reach out for them. The rest of their family reaches out for them. Like they are loved and I've tried to put them through professional therapy and make sure I'm doing the right thing and they're doing great at a Chinese immersion school this year. Hunter's going to be going to like a public middle school and so it's awesome to like have all of that around, but like I just was under a rock. Like I had nothing to share. I wasn't proud of myself. I think one of the coolest conversations was that night when in Cape Town when Ryan was having his celebration for sobriety. And then like V and I were also talking about kids and some other things. And I was asking, I was like, man, how different is it to like look at me and talk to me and see me and just like know that like 20 years ago, like I was so much more like charismatic. I like had so many better like business ideas. I was just like the typical imposter syndrome stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about, guys? It's like, and then like to the people who are looking at you, they're like, what are you talking about? It was like almost a joke that like I was saying this and like that she couldn't take me seriously. And then I don't know. Like I just I think we all also need to be a whole lot kinder to ourselves. And so I just had really good support in place and I thought it would be a fun experience. And I tried to be kind to myself that I wasn't that the place wasn't gonna burn down without me and let go of the ego a little bit. And I went back and I went for the experience, you know. You can't win
Yeah.
one of these things. And I just had the best time. I got to hear everybody's story, make more friends. But like a fire within me was definitely relit. And then towards the end, I even thought like, you know, maybe I can compete in this thing and like
You were
maybe we can have
close.
a
You were
little bit of
close,
fun.
Adam.
You are close. You are.
You're right there, getting to the
I
almost at the
know,
final.
I know. And you know what? Like for the people for those I saw some of the things I said and what I will say is like my initial reaction maybe wasn't as like as heated and maybe people asked me if I had anything else to say a few too many times and that got me a little worked up and so like you also want to make these you want to have some fun on these shows and so when I'm done first thing I do is like get on WhatsApp and I'm like hey guys we said what we needed to say to each other to exist in this amazing game and like real like this social experiment.
Yeah.
If anybody's feelings are hurt, please at least give me the opportunity to be an adult and communicate. Like, please don't go to social media
Right.
first. And
Right.
so that is one big thing that I'm not sure like the new kids do as well as the old kids. I'm like, I see fights starting before phone call, before anything's even made. Like people, but um, I think they're also intelligent. I think they also know that it can help them. And it's smart. Like, you know, if you could story write your own thing, there you go. Hey, ChatGPT, what should I do next season? Actually, these glasses from Ray-Ban, these are like the Meta ones. You could be like, hey, Meta, how would Adam Larson be more interesting on the Challenge All-Stars?
Yeah.
So what I would like to say about your personal life is that healing is not linear, right? And I think your presence on the show now, 20 years later, because like I said, we need the old farts, right? We need the OGs. We need the people who have been fans of the show for a really, really long time, especially people like Nick. People like you are needed and needed to be incorporated into what they're still doing today, right? So again, we're happy that with everything that was going on in your personal life, you were able to kind of get everything back on track and recover, and you're in a better place. Your children are in a better place. From all intents and purposes, I've had issues, with my parents growing up, but it seems like you're an amazing father. So kudos to you. In your 20 plus years on reality TV, right? What were some of your favorite moments from being on the challenge or Road Rules in particular that you remember?
Well, on the gauntlet, I got to get into an airplane and dogfight against Theo from Las Vegas Real World. And we just had the best time going around over the mountains of Telluride, Colorado. And I mean, it was amazing. There was race car driving, some like Indy cars up in Laguna Seca, if that's still the name of the racetrack getting to like get into so many different military bases and like whether they were sharing medical information or like we were up in like airplanes refueling like I wish I had gotten to serve my country. I think I would have been like my family is all Navy, but I would have and I'm a little too into Top Gun. I think I've watched it like 370 something times, but like we're not even going to
Yeah.
talk about the new movie Maverick anyways, because like now I feel like old farts will have a place in flying jet planes forever. But thank you, Tom Cruise. The like I think that the Cirque du Soleil experience in Vegas was amazing. Jumping off of like bungee jumping off of a bridge in Ronda, Spain, where like somebody had just committed suicide the week before was interesting. There was like some shows that they didn't do that like nothing ever got shown. We like learned to breathe fire. We spent a night in a haunted slave chambers in Morocco. There's like 3,000-year-old slave chambers
Oh
where
my
you're
gosh.
chained to walls and like the torches like like you'd feel like things like on your neck and like the camera guys would be walking and they just get like bumped into the walls. Like we were digging in this one spot to come up for keys. We never got. I ended up like using like I broke a rock apart and ended up using it to slice the leather things that Steve had on him because like the production's like, you need to dig right there. We did like a 3 by 3 foot hole. They're like, no, 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 it's just like down a couple inches. Like went through like the big box with the keys and everything wasn't there. There was like really cool things. Just driving the RV around and like
Yeah.
bumping into everybody. You just come up with the coolest stories. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure the same would be true for real world back when they like
Right.
were just hanging out on the couch. You never
You
know what
never
you're
know.
talking about.
One of my least favorite things to watch was unfortunately All Stars 4, the the finale where Steve made a fatal error. He had the advantage, he blew it, and then everybody for some reason gave Laurel the extra stars because that was Steve's to lose, and unfortunately he lost it because he was going to win the final there. And he just did you guys talk about that at all?
So yeah, so we got to see up to episode 7 or 8, and then both Steve and I, which officially announced, got chosen to go do All Stars 5, which I'm not sure if
Yep.
you guys have seen or if that it will
Yes.
still be official knowledge, but we were chosen as one of the teams, and the theme was rivals. And so, but we didn't get to basically see, if you think about it, well, you see it a little bit at the in the last minute, but you don't really get to see how our rivalry, uh, like we didn't know how they showed our rivalry. Does that
Right. You
make
guys were
sense?
like, we're not really rivals, but at least it helps to have somebody you know as your partner.
Listen, we were not fans of each other when we showed up. To say we're not rivals, I'm not sure, but like when I was just like, yeah, I mean, you can edit this part out. Spoiler alert. Like we showed up at the hotel, he came in to talk to me. I was like, get the fuck out of my room and close the door. So like we did not know
Uh-oh,
each
so you
other.
really were bad rivals.
Oh,
Yikes.
Wow.
All
I
right.
mean, I completely get it, but like I had to play a game and he had to play a game and we were on the wrong side of the house. And like we were talking right up until that. I'm just like, man, how can I get you on the right side of this? And but you know what? I think that he made a good like I think he had a great time. I think he made a great relationship with Cara Maria, who he's like a big fan of, and like him and Ace had a great time and they were roommates and like I love the game that they played. And like to get that many people into a final, the fact that Laurel still pulled it off when like there could have been so many more people on her side. Um, yeah, they play. I think that Cara Maria is a like I love watching her and CT on 40 because I always like when I see her at charity events, like I don't know, even though she might be a big character, I always look at her as like any girl, any
Yeah.
woman who comes on this show after me, I consider to be kind of like a little sister, just like I
Sure.
would
It's
consider
nice.
Veronica to be like my big sister. Does that is
Right.
it? I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but like it's so
Yeah.
familiar. Like I would love to take care of her, and I took her aside a couple times, and like I told her like maybe how to like how I would play the game, and I love it when like we share that information with each other instead of just play against each other.
Yeah. The season four was great. No disrespect for you, but I was rooting for Jay. I thought he played the best game, and he was the only courageous guy that threw himself down in the sand to try to win. And he had to go. He had to go in to. He had to do a water challenge with colors, and he's colorblind. So, but
Not
so
happening.
kudos. If he just waited for the next challenge, where
I
to
mean, how
go,
much more do you
he would
want
have
to
won.
know, Nick? So I told Jay, I said, "Hey Jay, Ryan's not going down. Like
Yeah,
he feels like he would
Ryan
further
chickened out.
exacerbate his injury, and like while he said that he would go down, he doesn't want to anymore." And Jay was like, "How are you going to vote for Steve?" I'm like, "Well, we've all talked about it, and I think it makes the smartest move. You don't go down on this next one. I'll take a knee and and we can like go have a fair elimination." And I think he thought he at least knew he could do it this way. Whereas I thought we had one more challenge. I did
Yeah.
not know it was going to be a purge challenge. So I thought I could actually like give it to Jay fairly, like give him but you never know how to play this game, man. The day you
You
think
never
you know
know.
there's so many different outcomes. It's like the modern version of choose your own adventure. I love it.
Well, me and Joe are a fan of the reality show, and I think you do really well on it. I think you should try out for Big Brother because you could talk everybody's heads off and everyone would be spinning. But it's a long
So
commitment.
can Steve and I should, can you imagine if the two of us went on Big Brother together? Maybe we would win that.
I think you would have a good shot,
I think
Adam,
you would
because you're
have a
very
really good chance.
personable, very like people
Right.
like you. But it's 100 days away. It's a long time
100 days nowadays?
Well, if you win, yeah. I mean, this year was
if
what,
you stay
90?
till the end. Yeah, but
They
they have
they
to you have to sequester first for a week before
right.
you go on the show.
You got to be
So
away from your daughter, so it would be a little bit of a grind.
no
But I think
communication at all, no phone calls. So it's tough. At least at the challenge, you could call home, right? You could do the video chats.
I know.
I think you would be a comp beast on Big Brother. I
You
think
would.
you would, but you would have to, I think, scale it back because if you win too much, then you're a target, right? So it's about balance.
Well, I always told Joe that he would be great because of the way he talks. I would go on the show. I'd try really hard to win competitions at first, and I wouldn't care if I went home early because I can't do 100 days away from my family. I would just try
Right?
to play really hard, get a name for myself, and get out of there.
Are you guys watching Mr. Beast's new show?
No, I'm not familiar with
No,
that. Is it a competition show?
It's a competition show on Netflix and it's for $5 million.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Looks like Squid Games-ish.
oh,
Most of
oh,
the stuff
I
he
think
does
I
seems
may
to
have
be
seen
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Adam, do you think that, you know, you would have been more well known and popular and be able to cash in our name had the older seasons of the show aired during the social media era? Because you were pre-social media, you were barely internet era when you were in your prime.
Oh yeah, I think it would have really cut out like a really interesting part of my life, like learning how to be in the wine and spirits business. Like I launched brands like Tito's and Saint Germain, Hendrick, Sailor Jerry.
Mm.
Like I've sold first
On
bottles of
cue.
so
You would have
much of
been
the
one of the first influencers instead of
well,
all these fake influencers.
without being an influencer, though, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how
Right.
great is it when it's organic? Like, how great is
Right.
it when you get to be a storyteller and there's all these brands at your disposal versus you having to get in bed with somebody who, like, maybe doesn't fit into your lifestyle? Nowadays, drinking doesn't fit into my lifestyle. I still want to make a beautiful tequila. I want to grow, like, I want to have one of those, like, permaculture type of communities where, like, like, blueberries are growing along the streets and you've got, like, a little distillery that can do dates, apples, you make a cider beer, whatever. Like, you know what? Like you do fun stuff. I do want to return to being able to do some stuff. And I don't like think everything needs to be organic and clean, but like it would be fun. I'm not sure if you guys have heard this. India, 1.4 billion people, 50% of people produce their own agriculture. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like I barely know how to like produce my own like I don't even know what you know. Like I wish I at
Well,
least had chickens.
first you got to buy land. So I don't think a lot of people. I think more people there are interested in buying land. So that's
Well,
the first thing,
Adam,
and then you got to figure out what to do with
when
the
you
land.
open the wellness resort, you're gonna have this as part of it.
Adam, we got to partner with that because I'm interested in that crack too.
There you go. Let's get just what is it like a mastermind group together just to hold
South
each
by
other
Southeast.
accountable.
I think Joe's getting on the next flight to come down to South Carolina to hash things out.
You'd be blown away. GSP is where the president has to fly into because it's like one of the biggest airports. You could fly into Atlanta, Charlotte, Greenville, and Asheville's 45 minutes away.
Right.
It's not a bad little place to live. We've only got like
Well, listen,
80,000 people.
the Raleigh flight was 50 minutes from New York. It's up, and you're up for about 15 minutes, and then you're coming back down, right? So tack on what, another 20 minutes, maybe a half hour, if that, to go to
Yep.
where you are. You know, so you'll be
Or
seeing
we
me
could
really,
meet in
really soon.
Nashville and have a boys' day,
Ah,
or we
that's
could go
Joe's
to
spot.
Louisville and we could do like the Bourbon Trail.
Yes,
There's all sorts of things.
Adam will be back in New York sooner rather than later.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
absolutely. We got to get together when you're in New York too. Let me ask you a question. Who made the first move, you or Avery? And when is she coming on the show?
Oh my gosh. I didn't real she whenever you want her. I'm sure she's at work right now. Um my daughter's like she was this type of Wonder Woman when I met her, heard her story, emancipated at 15. She's got a younger sister, 5 years younger, a younger brother, 12 years younger, or 10, also named Adam. But she just like did everything she could to make sure those kids had everything that they had, which is why Put on the Cape is such an important foundation, like for us as a charity, to make sure that kids have their basic necessities. Um, she like I'd be lucky to have her in any facet. I actually had a girlfriend at the time, so nothing romantic happened like on the show. And then she didn't like the relationship like I had with Avery, and I was like, all right, I can respect that. Because and even though I thought it was in like group text and whatnot, um, I realized that like I was picking a life partner, and I was also I don't know. I thought like love needed to be a whole lot more like grown up. Like maybe you sacrificed certain things if that made sense. Like maybe we don't like get drunk and stupid and like lovey-dovey like we used to. Like now we're parents and have to. I don't. I'd been dating people who I thought like checked certain boxes that like my dad would be proud, and I lost him in 2016. So I just wanted to be like a different kind of man. I didn't want to be like the Peter Pan who I thought I was and like dealing with this imposter syndrome. I wanted to at least like put my kids in the right school, provide them with like a mother and a father, like people. And I was doing the best I could. And I think I kind of like forced relationships or maybe saw things in people that were what I wanted to see versus what was like what they, what, anyways, I guess what I'm saying about who made the first move is Aves and I kept in touch. We started video calling every night while I was cooking dinner, and she got to meet the
Oh,
girls while they're doing homework. We just kind of have like one of those Google Nest things sitting up there. And like we just got to be best friends. And she came for Father's Day, and one of the girls told her that my dad has a crush on you. She's like,
oh, thanks to the
Oh, I
daughters.
love that.
Avery
yeah,
came for the food, and the daughters reeled her in.
yeah. And then so from the other from like the hallway over here. She's like, they were all sleeping and having slumber parties out in the living room. She's like, Dad, Miss Avery might have a crush on you too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was kind of my first Father's Day present. And then when I was away filming this last one, we just kind of had our 1 year anniversary, so to speak, as well as Father's Day. So it was really beautiful.
Very nice. Yeah.
Love that.
That is a beautiful story. So I'm curious, is your favorite chain restaurant Hooters, and do you get free wings?
No, Avery charges me full price.
Oh,
She does point me in the right direction on the menu, and and I always over tip. No, but like our favorite chain restaurants. We just went to Apple Bottoms, or Applebee's, Apple Bapples, I think is what the girls are calling it. We went over to Olive Garden, and the Golden Corral is probably like the whole buffet thing with like all the choices.
I love a good
Oh,
buffet.
Nick's a buffet.
Yeah,
Nick's a good buffet guy.
yeah, I can't wait till we at least graduate till to the sushi buffet, and that. But then I'll have to deal with the aftermath because we all know we shouldn't be eating sushi off a buffet. But can't help myself.
So Adam, I'm curious, we started in the beginning talking about the challenge and how it'd be great to go back to teams. So give me your ideal team. Give me one other guy and two girls for your foursome team.
Oh God, remember David Burns
I don't think so.
from Seattle Real World?
I saw his face probably, yeah. So Seattle Real
One of the
World,
most
yeah.
one of the most entertaining gentlemen in the world. I mean, you might have maybe I'd have to grab. Okay, so Jamie Murray from New Orleans Real World is kind of like who I always looked up to.
Okay.
So maybe I would grab him, although I work really well with Alton. He doesn't seem very respectful to other people though these days. That's a big thing. I work well with, I mean, I could work well with Abram. You know what I'm saying? He's
Yeah.
incredibly strong, but that doesn't mean I can work well with him. Wow. An all-star child. Wow. Uh, Mark Long, Veronica, and Katie.
Okay.
Two guys,
No,
two girls.
no Avery?
I thought you meant road rules only.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
Yeah,
could be either or, but I
no,
like the
because
road
like
rules way.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm
You
sure
gotta go. You have to go with Mark. Mark's the
if I
answer.
really wanted
And
to win it, I
Veronica,
would grab.
Veronica definitely,
If we really wanted to win, this is what we would do. Okay, we would use Mark as like our most gigantic distraction when we needed him on something. We would bring Veronica along because there's always a trivia day and she always wins it. You just can't
Yep.
even mess with her. Um, we'd need Rachel for the endurance. She'll win the final for us in the end. I'll unlock the puzzle right before it, but like that's probably the order in which we like make it to the end as well. Like I'll be,
So I
but
think
like, if we can,
why don't they do like, All-Star 6 battle the seasons? You got the road rules, then you got the Austin people, the Vegas. You've done it before, but you could do a road rules team. There you go.
Katie says she's retired, but I feel like I could convince Corey to let her come back for one more. If I was her partner, like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. Well, we look forward to seeing
I'd have to pick
what
up
shakes
cigarette
out.
smoking again.
So, in your
I'm just
life or your career, Adam, stay away from that stuff. In your life or your career, what would you say is your I'm right moment? What I mean by that, it's time or place you wanted to pursue something. You asked somebody for advice. They said, Adam, what are you, crazy? That's not going to work out. Don't do that. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this. And I can tell you, I told you so.
interesting. No, I'm right moment. Um, when you experience unconditional love, like that happened with Aves and I, and I've never felt like I've never been in this kind of a relationship
Right.
before. So what I would say is like when you love somebody without expectations, and let's just kind of transfer that over to we should be loving ourselves the most first, kind of get ourselves in a good place so that we can like be overflowing in order to fill other people's buckets, right? But also with kids, what I loved is like somebody talked about like how some of the things that trigger us the most are things that like we were minorly traumatized for, like maybe we were overparented about shutting off the light. Nowadays, like lights are LEDs, it probably costs 6 cents a month, right? Like, do you really want to pick a fight with your child on that issue? More so, like, do the work on yourself to find out why it's a trigger.
Okay.
Like, you want them to be able to save money and be efficient and do all those things. But I think that like I over explain everything. Like I dad explain things or something along those things. Like everything's a teaching moment. And I think the kids need that. I think they need to be told like, when I tell you to do something, you need to do it right away because just in case you're in trouble, I need you to stop and not get hit by the bus. But also here's the why behind it so that we can respect them because they are like I don't know. Don't you guys feel like that same voice that was in your head when you were 8 years old is the same voice that's in our head as like 28, 38, 48? Because like my body's just getting older. Fine wine, vintage, old fart, call it what you may. But like the voice inside still wants to do all the same fun stuff. So that's the kind of parenting that we need to exemplify. And probably just be nice to everybody all around us. Now it's going to show me this clip of me being a dick.
No, I think that was really, really sweet. Um,
Uh,
Adam's I'm right moment, being in a relationship with Wonder Woman and having his kids listening to him. That's the dream for every guy, I would imagine. But Adam, we appreciate your time. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun. I know you
oh,
had
I got a
questions about the
blast.
questions that we were going to ask, but I'm sure, based on your answers, that you had a great time. So as Nick mentioned before, I am a little bit of the spiritual person between the two. I am into astrology, believe it or not. As a dude, I am into astrology. So my
I
last question
trade
for
and
you,
sell month every 15 days based on the new moon and full moon. And people laugh at me all the time. So let's talk about that, especially
the
during
new
like,
moon is coming on Monday as of this recording.
yep,
Uh, so we do sometimes we ask people about their zodiac signs, right? So,
Capricorn, true and true.
oh, there we go.
Aves has like my whole breakdown. I should be able to
Oh,
give you
chart.
my rising and like my
Oh, Joe's going to
So
ascendant.
analyze all this.
what I will say though is that I think you do have a little bit of a quirk to you. And usually when people think quirk, they think Aquarius, right? However, if you are a Capricorn, you may have other either planets in certain positions in your chart or other places where you may have a prominent Aquarius type of placement, or you may have a prominent other type of sign or planetary placement. So if you ever want your full chart, you just let me know. Just give me your birth time. I do all this stuff.
I will.
But
I will
yeah,
for sure.
but yeah, you're a Capricorn, very career-oriented poor person, as you can tell
Yep.
by, all the
January.
places you worked in.
My birthday is January 16th, 1979, 5:15. No, 6 p.m. Hold on.
Now we got to find this out. This is awesome.
I have like
Usually,
Adam's pulling out his birth certificate now. He's going to the States.
I have like an old school birth certificate. Can you believe this thing?
I
he
was right.
literally just pulled out his birth.
You know I'm right. Look at that thing. Wow.
7:15 a. Oh my God, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. I think Avery did my composite thing. Okay, so
You did
7:15
PM. You're
a.m.
right.
on January 16th, 1979 in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, Joe's
So
gonna be
it's
working on that.
AM, right? You said
AM. AM.
Yeah.
AM and PM is very, very significant. Two different times. So you were a morning baby. All right, 7:15, January 16, 1979, Detroit, Michigan. I can't wait to run this full.
And we
I
need to,
have.
run this
we need
game.
to manifest a Cybertruck with a camper now. And South by Southeast. What else, Joe?
Make it happen.
Put all this stuff into our agenda for next week. Send me the
Okay.
calendar invite right now.
Okay, I will.
There we
I'm gonna work
go.
on it, and I'll
Big
give
things
you
coming.
that's right.
Full
I'll
reading.
do a full reading for you. I'll do a good job for you. I promise you, I'll give you a really well detailed composite of not only your
Now you
chart
got
but
to
other
compare
aspects.
his composite with the one you had Avery do with the wrong time and see.
Right.
The,
That's
I mean,
gonna matter.
maybe it
That's
was the
gonna
right
matter
thing
because
to adjust it.
your ascendant's gonna change. Your like that your axis is gonna change because your
I don't know
ascended
what you're
time
talking
is
about.
different. Yeah, I know, Nick. This is over Nick's head, but Wilson, we'll talk more about it, Adam. I'll give you the full rundown. But thank you for that. You don't have to get your birth certificate out, but I appreciate that. But
That's the
as
first birth certificate appearance we've ever had on the
I knew
podcast.
right.
For sure. All
That's
right, guys, we'll
amazing.
trade social security numbers later on. Have a great time. Thanks so much for having me.
You got it. But yes, we're ready to wrap this up. So, Adam, like I said, this was really, really fun. I'm very happy. We hope you enjoyed all the questions. What we do here is we always give our guests the last word. So, if there's anything else you would personally like to share, promote your social media channels and all that, by all means, go ahead. And we wish you the best of luck moving forward. Enjoy the rest of your holiday season. Enjoy Aves and your daughters. Hopefully, Avery can come on soon. And where can we find you?
Well, maybe we'll take off on a really cool road trip June 1st. Maybe we'll start South by Southeast. But if you're looking to follow, it's at Datum Larson, Larson. And then I think that we'll just keep in touch, and I think
Hmm.
keep your eye out on MTV. Hopefully it's a great season.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me.
Yes.
Everybody
Thanks
tune
for
in to the challenge All Stars 5, which is finally on TV. No more
Yes.
Paramount Plus. Those commercials drive me crazy. So watch that. Tune in. As of this podcast being out right now, the show's on tonight. So tune in. And we look forward to watching Adam going really far on the show and getting out right before the finale once again. Right before that's Adam's
Damn that, Steve.
We'll see if Steve
All right,
stands
for all
Adam
of
in the
you who
back.
want to sit and spin, thanks for having me. I love you guys. Thanks for having me back in the family, and reach out again soon, boys.
All right, that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Adam Larson, my co-host, Joe Calabrese, I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.